Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video on FIFA 21, where today we have got a defending tutorial, a full guide on how to defend this year in FIFA 21. So if you do enjoy the content and you do want to see more, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. It would be much appreciated. If you do have any questions regarding FIFA or just anything generally, make sure you do send those over on Twitter and we'll do our best to answer them as quick as possible. Make sure you drop us a follow on Twitch as well, because we do have aspirations to start streaming soon. So it'd be much appreciated if you guys could come along and support us. So as mentioned before, we have our defending tutorial today, and hopefully you will take away something and learn something about this year in FIFA 21, how to become a better defender. We've got some great tips for you today. So without further ado, going into tip number 1, it is fullbacks stay back while attacking. Now, putting your fullbacks on stay back while attacking might seem like a pretty simple thing to do, but it is something that gives you a massive benefit. Obviously, you want to have that back four in a great position. As you can see in this first clip, our four at the back that is picture perfect. You know, centre backs near each other, fullbacks are there. You want your fullbacks to always kind of be back. You know, I know it kind of goes against what we said yesterday on our attacking tutorial, where you want the fullbacks going forwards, but it depends. If you're someone who really struggles with defending, then it's a no-brainer to put your fullbacks on stay back while attacking, because it's just going to give you a little bit more solidarity. You know, if you're somebody who struggles with defending, it's going to give you a more solid base and foundation to work from. If you're somebody who's a really good attacker and maybe you don't need as many players, maybe you don't need the fullbacks going up the top end of the pitch, it's a no-brainer to have your fullback stay back and give you a little bit more protection defensively. Every now and again, they still will get forwards, and they will do a decent little job going forwards. You know, even if it's just to bounce the ball off and just play a little pass off here and there. But having them on stay back while attacking just gives them better positioning, and I think stay back while attacking becomes more relevant the better the players you come up against. I think when you start to come up against some of the top tier players, you know, the players like your Neymars and your Mbappes and players like that, it's more important when you come up against pacey players to just give yourself that extra yard or two, and just make it a little bit easier for you to defend. So tip number 2, it is to always track the runner. Now, tracking the runner, why is tracking the runner so important? The runner is the dangerous player all the time. Now, some people might say the player carrying the ball is the dangerous player, and it is something you definitely have to watch. But you can see here we track the run of the centre back, but we don't track the run on the left hand side. Our fullback just drifts across. We don't track that guy, and then he's the one who's the dangerous player and scores. And that's why we say the player who is on the ball is a dangerous player, but it's always the run that you have to track, because the runner is the one who is likely, you know, most kind of low tier, mid skill players will play that pass to that runner, and some of the top tier players, you use that runner as a bit of a disguise and you don't always pass the ball off. But most of the time, against most people you'll come up against, if somebody's running in behind and somebody's making a run, that's typically the player they're going to pass to. So that is the player more often than not that you want to be carrying. You see some good examples here of us sort of tracking the run and just watching the runner. Again, you can see a great example here where we just track the runner. Obviously, it's the guy who's going to pass the ball to. We just shield him out of play, and then he ends up just running the ball out of play himself. But it's really important that you follow the runner, because they are the dangerous man. That is the dangerous player. That's the player who's likely to hurt you, as mentioned before. That is who is likely to get the ball. So it's definitely, that's the player you need to keep your eye on. And when you're running, we'll get into that, with the sort of controls and buttons you need to be holding down. But very important that you do track these runs. Now, coming into what to do and how to do and when to do it and what buttons to press, it is this tip number 3. Don't dive into tackles. Make sure you use the jockey button. Now, for those who don't know jockey, you need to be holding the left trigger all the time when you are defending. It is super important. You can see in plenty of clips that we're going to be showing here that we're going to be showing. It's really important that you do hold that jockey button. You can see this time this is a mixture of tracking the run. This is when we're starting to do two things. We're starting to mix some of these defending bits together. You know, we've got our fullback stay while attacking. You can see our back four there was really solid. Also, we're managing to track the runner. You know, with the fullback, we were tracking the runner all the way back and then passing him off to the centre back. But it's really important that you can see in none of these examples You can see this time we've got 6 players who are obviously surrounding this one guy, but not once did we dive in to try and win the ball. Never ever press the B button, and that will massively improve you as a defender. You know, also try and avoid second man pressing. It's really ineffective and it's just not the best way to defend. But it's super important that you don't dive into tackles, because if you start diving into tackles, you're really taking your player out of the game, and that's the worst thing to do when you're defending. And that is something that I come up against quite a lot. Again, I'm not saying here that I am the best player in the world or anything like that, but it's something that you come up against quite a lot, especially against lower skilled players. They will dive into a lot of tackles, and it takes your defender completely out the game. If you're jockeying all the time, what you're going to do is, even if you miss a tackle, holding that left trigger and then just sort of walking into the striker won't always give you a massive 100% success rate. But even if you do miss a tackle, maybe the ball doesn't come to you, whatever it may be, you're still not out the game, and it still gives you the option to then sprint back, as you saw in that example there. We went in with the centre back to try and close the space. The ball then didn't come to that player, but then we just backed off and we managed to track his run. And it's really important that you don't dive into tackles, because as soon as you start diving into tackles and doing things like that, you're going to completely take yourself out of the game, and you're just one man short when you're defending. So it's really important that you jockey. It's probably the most important thing in this video to take away, is just remember to always be holding the left trigger button when you're defending, and it will give you a much higher success rate when you're trying to tackle, trying to read runs, trying to do everything. It just gives you a much higher success rate, something you definitely need to be doing. And then tip number 4 is actually a more advanced technique. This is for people who are maybe better and higher skilled players. This is something I would only recommend for people who are higher skilled players, and it is an advanced technique, which is to press higher up the pitch, play with a slightly higher line. Now, again, we used this in our video yesterday in our attacking tutorial. I like to play with quite a high line. I like to really try and press my opponents at the top end of the pitch. Now, that does mean that sometimes you do get caught out, and you are going to give up some opportunities in defense. You know, there are going to be times when, even though your fullbacks might be on stay back while attacking, this is something when, if you're going into a balanced for your fullbacks, because you want to play a little bit higher at the pitch, really important that you don't dive into tackles. You don't make it worse than it already is, because you're trying to press higher at the pitch. But if you get it right, if you're someone who can maybe defend quite well with less players at the back, it just gives you such a massive advantage. You can see some really good examples coming up of us. Not always, it doesn't always, yield goals or anything like that, but you can see how many players we've got at the top end of the pitch. 7 players at the top end of the pitch, and you're able to just trap your opponents. And you might think, what has this got to do with defending? Now, what this has to do with defending is, the more you have the ball, the less threatening your opponent, the less threatening your opponent is going to be, the less chances that they're going to have on your goal. So one thing that I always try and do to really help myself defend is actually try and have more possession. You might see in our attacking tutorial yesterday, if you did watch it, you can see that some of the statistics for possession that we were having sort of 75, 68, 72% possession, which means that our opponent is not getting the ball, so he's not able to hurt us offensively. And that obviously helps you out defensively, because the less you have to defend and the more you have to attack, less likely you are to concede goals. So it's something that, like I said, it doesn't come without its risks. Obviously, playing a high line is going to leave you a little bit more exposed in defense, and you are going to give up more chances, which is why I say it is an advanced technique, because you are going to have less players to defend with. You're not going to have that solid foundation to use, but it's something that, if you can manage to defend with maybe a couple less players, it's something that's going to really benefit you and help you out massively, because you're just going to be able to have more players at the top end of the pitch, and it gives you more opportunities to score goals, and then you have to spend less time defending. But like I said, it does come with its risk, because you are going to leave more spaces exposed, which again is why it's an advanced technique. So that is it for our defending tutorial. Hopefully you did enjoy it, and hopefully you have taken away a few good things from this video, and there are some things that you can maybe go and apply to your game, and there might be some things that you can take away from this video and go, okay, I can implement that into my game. And hopefully, as always, it does help you out and improve and become a better player, because that is our aim here. So if you did enjoy the content and you do want to see more, make sure you do hit the subscribe button. It would be much appreciated. Make sure you drop a thumbs up as well. That would be amazing. As always, if you do have any questions, make sure you do tweet us, and we'll get around to answering them as quick as possible. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.